Hey, it's Joshua, room 12. Last room you protected yourself from a service that was too slow. This room is the mirror image. How do you protect your service from callers who ask too much, too fast? Because a system does not only die from its own weakness or from a slow dependency. Sometimes it dies from being loved too hard by one greedy visitor.
The reference desk can comfortably serve, say, 10 readers a minute. For years, that is plenty. Then, one clever patron writes himself a little machine. It walks up and demands a book, then another, 1,000 times a second, never tiring, never yielding. The clerk, trying to be helpful, turns to serve him, and every other reader in the building now waits behind a machine that will never, ever stop asking. One visitor, no malice even required, has taken the entire desk hostage. The system did not break, it was simply consumed. Still the wing about systems talking, and this is its gatekeeper. The breaker protected you from the things you call. This protects you from the things that call you. A service that cannot control how fast the world asks will, sooner or later, be asked to death. So you give every reader an allowance. Picture a small tray of tokens with each patron's name on it. Every request spends one token. The tray refills, slowly and steadily, a few tokens a second. Ask at a polite pace, and your tray is always full enough. You never even notice it is there. But hammer the desk, and you drain your tray in a blink. And then you simply have to wait for it to refill. Your greed is your own problem now, not everyone's. And the beauty is in the refill. A strict, rigid limit, exactly 10 a minute and not one more, would punish an honest reader who simply needs a quick burst of 5 at once. But the tray lets tokens accumulate, sit quietly for a moment, and it fills to the brim. And now you may spend a handful in one burst, then settle back to the steady drip. It forgives a spike, while it forbids a flood. That little tray of refilling tokens has a name engineers love, the token bucket, a steady rate with room for one honest burst. So that is rate limiting, a cap on how fast a caller, or the whole system, is allowed to ask, so that no single appetite can consume the service. You limit per caller by their key or their address for fairness, so one machine cannot starve 1,000 humans. And you limit globally too, a hard ceiling that protects the back end from any storm at all. And when someone does run dry, you do not go silent, and you do not fall over. You answer clearly and instantly with a polite refusal. In the web's language, a 429. Too many requests. And you add one small kindness, a note that says, come back in 30 seconds, because a no with a win is a door. A no with only silence is a wall they will just keep pounding. Here's the keeper. A service must control how fast the world is allowed to ask, or one caller's appetite becomes everyone's outage. Give each caller a steady allowance that forgives a short burst but bounds the sustained rate. And when they exceed it, refuse clearly and cheaply and tell them when to return. A fast, honest no protects the many from the few. The labels are the stickers, rate limiting or throttling. The tray is a token bucket. The refusal is a 429 with a retry-after. In the cloud, API Gateway throttles everyone by default, and a usage plan sets each key's own allowance. And see how it answers the same question as the greeter's room from the other side? Too much load. Autoscaling says, add more clerks, grow to meet the demand, generous, and right for honest growth. Rate limiting says, cap the demand to fit the clerks you have. You need both, and they cover for each other. You scale for the customers you want, and you throttle the appetite you cannot or should not ever serve. Grow to meet what is fair, refuse what is not. So the exam shows the symptoms. One client hammering your API and ruining it for everyone, a per-client rate limit, a token bucket on their key, protecting the whole backend from any spike at all, a global throttle, a ceiling over everything. One address flooding you, a web firewall with a rate-based rule. A real denial of service flood is shield, free, and always on. Clients stampeding with retries the instant you refuse them, return a Retry-After and let them back off with jitter, the very lesson from the breaker. Free and paid tiers, different sized allowances, usage plans.
Your turn. Out loud or in your head. I'll wait. A public API. One free tier user runs a script that calls it thousands of times a second, and it slows to a crawl for every paying customer. How do you stop that one user from ruining it for everyone, while still letting normal users burst now and then? And what do you send back when they go over?
Give every key its own token bucket. A steady refill for the sustained limit, and a bucket deep enough to forgive an honest burst. The runaway script drains its own bucket and gets throttled alone. Every paying customer is untouched. And when it goes over, return a 429 too many requests with a Retry-After header, so a well-behaved client waits instead of stampeding. Bigger buckets for the paid tiers, smaller for the free. The greedy starve only themselves. So that is the allowance, the gate that protects a service from the appetite of the world that loves it. A steady rate, a forgiven burst, a clear and kindly no. And hold the pair in your hand. The breaker protects the caller from a slow service. The allowance protects the service from greedy callers. Two guards facing opposite directions at the very same door. Nobody gets to consume the whole. One breath to seal it. Cap how fast the world can ask. A token bucket forgives an honest burst, but bounds the steady rate. Limit per caller for fairness and globally to shield the backend. When they exceed it, say no clearly and say when to return. Autoscaling grows to meet demand. Rate limiting caps it. Together, no single appetite is ever allowed to eat the whole table.
That is rate limiting, the quiet allowance that keeps one guest from eating the whole feast. 12 rooms down. I'm Joshua. I'll see you in the next one.